Boom, boom. This is the Mutual of Omaha presents
Wild Kingdom. Fat Man Beyond. Welcome, kids. Fat Man Beyond. I'm Kevin Smith.
I'm Marc Bernardin.
Hey!
Howdy.
Well, fucking Tuesday night, kids, October 8th. And we got Chronicon happening on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in the great city of, well, not technically in Chicago, outside of Chicago.
Yeah.
At the Hyatt Regency O'Hare, just outside of O'Hare, man. Look at those. Look at that pantheon of fucking Askewniverse stars, for heaven's sakes. My very first con. I've been going to cons forever. This con is mine.
We'll have it.
You got nothing to add to that? Shit, you're going too. Come on.
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there. I'm in the poster of the Cavalcade of Stars, hiding right behind fucking Cheech.
Mark is coming. JC Banff Man is coming. I'll be there. Jay, all those people, man, in Chicago. Tickets at csmod.com. If you're anywhere near the Midwest, come out and hang out with us, man. It's gonna be fun. In any event, it's Tuesday, kids. And that means the weekend already happened. So many things to catch up on. We got things to talk about.
We got some news.
We got some news. We're ready to answer some questions. Mark, last time I did this while you were away, and I went for 4.5 hours. That's not happening today, kids.
Yeah, JC did tell me that you went for the record. You were like, we're in it. Let's fucking go.
We were so close. I was just like, let's go. It was like, I was the Ted Krasinski fucking podcasting just by myself, fucking rambling about the government. It was an experience. We got to 4 hours and 30 minutes. We will not be doing that tonight, kids. Marc Bernardin likes to go to bed at a decent hour.
I do. I need my beauty rest. I just got my fucking COVID and flu shots, so I'm a little wobbly on my legs.
I too got my COVID shot. I skipped the flu because I was like, I can't handle two at once.
Yeah, no, it'll kick you right there in the dinghy.
How did it do? How'd you do with the both COVID and flu vaccine?
I did all right. Like I got them at like 10 o'clock in the morning. And then I went on a location scout for the movie for Deepest Darkest, which we are in like deep prep on already. And then I got home, and by like 4 o'clock, I started to feel a little wonky. And by like 7 o'clock, I was feverish with the fucking sweats and the shivers. And by I barely slept at all last night. I'm just existing entirely on Celsius and sugar.
Celsius will do it, man.
It's just like my 5th Celsius today.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
We're rushing you to an emergency room soon.
I'm flying high on a rocket cycle, my good man.
Cheers to you, my friend. Beers to you, old amigo, for all the good times. Can you name the movie? If you can name the movie, I'll be very impressed.
No, I can't.
Clint Eastwood movie.
Oh, Any Which Way But Loose?
Close. Any Which Way You Can. It was the sequel.
All right.
Well done. God, we're so old.
I know. The minute like Clint Eastwood, I'm like, which one would have like Jeffrey Lewis singing a song?
That was my best Scatman. It was Clint Eastwood and Scatman singing together, even though Scatman's not in the movie.
Exactly what you want.
But Scatman did a lot of singing back in the day. Remember, he was like, everybody wants to be a cat.
He's like, all right, we got this Cats musical, but we're not going to do a song from Cats. We're not going to get a guy from Cats. Scatman Crothers singing about cats. Go.
I think it was the Aristocats. Everybody wants to be a cat. And he was the voice of Hong Kong Phooey, of course.
He was
Hong Kong Phooey, #1 super guy. Can you sing that? Is that a cancelable offense to sing that song?
Only if you're Scatman Crothers. If you're an old black dude, you can
get away with it, right?
Who's gonna cancel that guy?
Speaking of elderly folks, I was watching Beetlejuice Squared right before I joined here, man. And it's crazy, just like watching two of the cast members completely age up. Not in a bad way, where you're like, they look so old, but you're used to seeing Lydia and Delia Dietz look one way for like what 30 years or however long it's been. Now
So that's
suddenly there's a new chapter.
Shazam. Oh, damn. What happened?
He since he's buried under makeup, he kind of looks more or less the same. But
And
I'm
his
about
energy levels are still high.
yeah. I mean, he only had the same amount of time in the movie apparently that he had in the first movie. That was his only request. He's like, can't be in it any more than I was in the first flick.
It was like
But
50
like, yeah,
minutes.
like something crazy, like 17 minutes where you're like, seriously? And then when you think back, that movie was a lot of Alec Baldwin and
Yeah, David.
Gina Davis, yeah.
Man. And Otho discovering shit about a house.
He's missing too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll report back when I finally finish. I had to break off to come here and hang out with you all and shit.
I've already said my piece, but I look forward to hearing what you feel about Le Beetlejuice 2.
Right off the bat, I mean, again, half hour in, so if the editor in me is like, they really could have just started at the funeral, with the kids singing like Dale, like just like the trailer did.
Yeah.
Those first few scenes were kind of like, all right, but that's just me. And you got to remember, the 4:30 movie is out right now, and it's like fucking, I don't know, barely movie length. One of the reviews are like, it's under 90, awfully lean economic storytelling. But so I cut everything tight. That's just me. I'd prefer to keep everything sure as possible, especially when it comes to a Kevin Smith movie. You think I want to make people sit there 1 second longer than they need to on a Jay and Silent Bob adventure? It's like they got shit to do. But more when I see it. Within the first half hour, I felt happy for everybody. I was like, oh, they all look like they're having a good time. Everyone's happy to be back. And I bet you they never once fucking thought like this will happen.
Absolutely. We're doing this when?
Yeah.
It's bizarre. Yeah, and it's also like that is a movie that feels longer than it needs to be, even though it's still just a hair over 2 hours.
I'm in the first half hour. I just watched something else that was over 2 hours, and I was like, why did it have to be that?
Ten Commandments.
Yeah, no, that's even longer. That's longer, as thick as a dick. That movie.
Bamf.
Oh, look who's here, kids! It's Banff Man saving us from all this fucking Moses slander we were about to get into.
I was just gonna say, is it Gandhi? That shit happened for 3 hours.
Well done, dude. I like when people quote movies. I really like it when people quote my movies. Thank you to all the folks who bought a digital copy and said nice things online and whatnot. As you can see, I'm using your tweets to like fucking sell the movie over in my Insta stories. I put up all these nice tweets with links to the 4:30 movie website, 4:30.movie. But
you are an industrious Instagrammer, if I've ever seen one.
Say again?
You are an industrious Instagrammer, if I've ever seen one.
My kid told me the other day, Mark, she was like, you got to cool it, Dad. And I was like, you know what? Fuck you. I've seen your Instagram stories. It's all horrible things like about cruelty to animals. She's like, I'm raising awareness. I was like, you're bumming me out. Pop into your Insta to see how life is in your world. And I'm like, life is about the death of animals. Like, I get it, but like, I don't know. Like, should you go to Disney? Maybe pop one of those pictures in there or something like that.
Balance. All we need is some balance.
A little bit of balance. But she did tell me, she's like, you're fucking blowing up your Insta stories. I was like, you're damn right I am. I don't care anymore, dude. You know what was really amazing was we recorded an episode of our podcast, Beardless Dickless Me, last night. And I forget this kid, like, she's been around, but she ain't like been around in as much as like there's shit about me she don't even know. So like I was talking about like how much I hate my young voice. Like, I hate young Kevin Smith and how he was so like disengaged. And she was like, what do you mean? And I was like, well, here. And I went to YouTube. I was like 1994 Kevin Smith. And I pulled up, it was an interview on Jon Stewart's TV show on MTV. It's like one of the last episodes he did. So there I am, like, fresh off of a year worth of doing film festival circuits with Clark's just about to come out like the following Friday on 2 screens in New York and LA. And you got to hear him, man. I can't do him justice. I can't do a decent impression of him, but I hate his fucking voice so much. And he's just so like, he ain't this guy. Like, he's not like, say what you will about the movies, but it's like, I can fucking watch him talk for a while. This other guy, he literally got interviewed. You know how like I was just on Seth Meyers and I didn't even let him talk? Fucking Jon Stewart like was trying to pull an interview out of me in this interview. And I'm doing like, yeah, like 1-word answers and shit on a goddamn TV show. So I'm like, oh, I hate this. And Harley goes, oh my God. She's going, you're acting like a 90s rock star. And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, that's how they all talk. She's like, I love like Courtney Love. I watch her old interviews. Everyone's so disaffected back then. I was like, yeah, we didn't give a fuck, kid. That's what she said. She was like, look, you just don't give a fuck. Look at you. She's like, that's the difference between you then and you now. I was like, what? I give a fuck? She's like, oh, you give so many fucks. But she's like, then you couldn't be bothered. And I was like, I guess that was the era. We were all kind of like that. But then, I got to a place in life where I was like, I got nothing to be upset about anymore. I ain't.
Yeah.
And I stopped being a slacker as well. I started being pretty like busy and shit.
Enthusiasm was a rare commodity back in the day.
Really was, man. We were too busy trying to get outside and smoke cigarettes. But then while I was there, I was like, well, let me see, how my voice changed 5 years later. And I pulled up, I said 1999 Kevin Smith. Put that into Google, and it pulled up me on the local news when I protested dogma. Now, periodically, the internet rediscovers this clip like every 8 months to a year or something like that. And people are like, did you really fucking protest your own movie? And, it's wonderful for me because I'm like, I did. That is something I did. I have a long tail and fucking, 25 years ago, that was part of the story and shit. My kid had no fucking idea, bro. And she was like, that is like one of the most metal things I've ever heard. I was like, really? And she's like, I'm fucking impressed. She's going, you literally protested your own movie? Who does that? You're so fucked up. And like in a good way. And I felt seen, Mark, by my 25-year-old kid. I was like, yeah. I said I was a rebel back in those days. But it really made me like, it is funny because she was like, the big difference is you just didn't care then. And you really care now. And that's got to be a good thing. Like, but maybe when you start caring, like, I don't know, a string show or something like that. I don't know. Like, I cared about the 4:30 movie and people really seemed to get into that. I mean, yeah, there were some people. New York Times was like, this is like the Fablemans. If the kid in the Fablemans grew up to make terrible movies, it was kind of fun, admittedly very funny. But, most people did kind of like see people who watch movies seem to like connect with the heart. And they're like, oh my God, you really poured your heart into it. So I don't know, maybe I do care more now, but I cared when I made Clerks. It just makes sense. I think it's the era, honestly. As I sat there watching the interviews, I was like, we were all, and the fact that she pointed that out, because she was like, you sound like a rock star. And I was like, I've never once in my life tried to sound like a rock star. And she was like, no, you just sound like everybody who I love, who was in music in the 90s when they're interviewed. You're all like that. And I'm like, oh, so it's not me. Perhaps it was the era.
We're not selling out. We're not trying too hard. We're just kind of here.
Bro, we were never selling out. Ever. Until Mallrats. Then we sold out like that.
One of my favorite early interactions with Kevin Smith was I was interviewing you for Entertainment Weekly, and we were doing a filmography, and so I was emailing you, and I was like, "Hey, do you have a phone number? I'll call you. I could do the interview." And you were like, "Let's do it over instant message. I'd much rather type than talk."
Still true.
I'm a writer. I'd much rather type than talk. Like, oh, remember that kid?
When it comes to phones, like I'd still rather text than talk. But I think in real life, I'd rather, like, if I could do this is easier.
Yeah.
Just talking at folks and whatnot. Talking about the days of selling out. Speaking of which, kids.
Hey.
Fat Man Beyond is brought to you by a grant from the Helena Rubinstein Foundation and through supporters like you who buy tote bags on this PBS telethon. We got advertisers, kids. Mark, who's our first advertiser of the evening?
The good folks at Mando.
Ando.
Mando. I'm sure you've heard us talk about Mando whole body deodorant at this point. Like, how did we discover it? They sent a box of Mando deodorant to my house, and I wore it because I was needing deodorant, and I didn't make it to the store to buy new ones. And damn, if that shit isn't good, man.
This shit smells so good. Smell it. You
Yeah.
smell it. You smell it. Not you, them. You know what it smells like because they sent you some free shit. Look at this. This right here is the Mando bourbon leather odor shield body wash. You wash your body with it, for Christ's sakes.
Urban leather.
Look at this. Here, man. I don't give a shit, Mark. I'll use this right now. I'll use it right now. I'm gonna get in there and pit it up and stuff. Oh, that smells good. I feel fresh.
As a daisy, as a manly daisy.
Oh, that's good, man. That's good. That's the smooth, solid deodorant Mount Fuji for pits, packages, and feet. I could rub this on my nuts if I wanted to.
Oh, hell, you can use it on your whole body. It's dermatologist tested and gentle on all of your bits. Controls odor for 72 hours, clinically proven. You can choose from 4 cologne quality scents or even unscented if you just want to get stealthy about it.
Look at that, man. That's the invisible cream deodorant, my friends.
Ooh.
If you're like, I want to use it. I've always wanted to cream it up. Mando makes some fine stuff. Smells damn good, man.
Oh, yeah. Bourbon leather, Clover Woods, Mount Fuji, Pro Sport, all them scents. Mix and match those motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? Mix them and match them. They got body wash, cleansing bars, deodorant wipes for 24-hour odor control.
I use those deodorant wipes when I'm on the road, man. They're in my bag. I take them with me when I travel. Guess what? I'll be using them when I'm at Chronicon this weekend.
Oh, hell yeah. And we can't even call them horse baths anymore, can we?
No.
Not allowed to say.
I think we got yelled
No.
at. Oh,
People of the night. I mean, also, that's not sexist. There are men whores.
that's right. Damn Skippy there are, man.
Damn skippy there are. So listen, there's a bunch of different ways you can get Mando in your life. Cleansing bar, body wash, deodorant wipes, the fucking Deo cream tube, or the deodorant stick. It's all there for you if you want it. And
Mando's created by a doctor, kids, who saw firsthand how normal body odor was being misdiagnosed and mistreated. Mando is American made, man. Whole body deodorant, powerful enough for the toughest body odor, but gentle enough to use everywhere. I mean, everywhere. Allowing you to put Mando on family jewels without any worry, because Mando is aluminum free, or as they say in the UK, aluminium free, baking soda free, cruelty free. Nobody gonna fucking say mean things to you while you put it on. Dye free. You're gonna live forever. Vegan as well, because that's important to a lot of people when they need to eat their deodorants and stuff. Clinically proven to control odor better than a shower with soap alone. 12 hours after a shower, the average man's grundle odor level was a 5 out of 10, Mark. I don't know if you knew that. With Mando, the average grundle odor level is a 0 out of 10.
Ooh. Mando starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. So, hey, we have a discount code to help you get hooked on our favorite smelling whole body deodorant on the market. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code FATMAN at checkout. That's like 40% off the whole goddamn starter pack. So use the code FATMAN at shopmando.com. SHOPMANDO.com.
We thank the good folks at Mando at shopmando.com, man, for sponsoring this here episode of Fat Man in the Beyond.
Ooh.
All right.
Yeah.
Anything come out this weekend?
This particular passing weekend, yeah, there's a movie that dropped. I think some people were excited about it. It's a follow-up to an incredibly successful film.
Mm-hmm. The 4:30 movie, following up Clerks 3. Stop it, Mark.
Following the 29 movie.
I'm embarrassed. Please. No, a gigantic comic book movie opened this weekend, kids.
Indeed.
We all know. Everybody knows. I probably, like a lot of other people, I've spent far too much time watching videos on YouTube this morning of a bunch of people being like, what the fuck? So many videos that honestly, I probably could have watched the length of Joker Folie Deux, which is what, 2.5 hours, Mark?
Not even. It's not that long. It's like 208, 209, I think.
Oh, wait. I have failed you kids in as much as getting ready for a con, doing press for the my own movie and stuff. So I did not get to see Joker Folie Deux. But boy, oh boy, the internet sure had feelings on the subject, as does Marvelous Marc Bernardin, who, unlike me, dutifully, although this is not our job, it's a thing we do for fun, went to see Joker of Folie Adieu.
Adieu.
Mark fucking loved it, kids. Mark, give me your rave review.
I was one of the few apparently to go see it, given its opening at $37.8 million.
Give me a second. 37. Thank you. On brand.
Just there it is. Which is quite a drop, one might say, from the Joker 1, Folie movie, which
Folie that's good.
Which did, twice that its opening weekend. The movie went on to make $1 billion. Joker 2 will not make $1 billion.
That seems to be the word, man.
Seems to be the word. Like, I think I would like to be able to say how you felt about Joker 1 will be similar to how you feel about Joker 2. But it seems as if people who even loved Joker 1 were not riding for Joker 2. The cinema score was a D, which I think is about as low as a comic book movie has ever gotten from cinema.
Apparently, from every article I've read today, single lowest score for a comic book movie, a mainstream comic book movie of all time.
Yeah.
And they were originally, when it popped up on tracking, they were tracking open at 70, 75, which was still lower than where Joker opened, but the world has been through some things, and so post-COVID, not everything could be Beetlejuice or whatever, but there were, this being a sequel to $1 billion grossing movie, people were surprised when it came onto tracking at 75 million. Then they readjusted their tracking week of to like 50 million, and then when they opened, they said they made 40, but then this morning they had to come out with the actuals, and the actuals, as Mark said, 37 million bucks. Now, this has nothing to do with me, but I'm just going to throw this out there. That's more money than any of my movies I've ever fucking made. So congratulations, Warner Brothers and Todd Phillips. Problem is, movie cost a pretty penny, from what I understand.
A couple of $100 million, apparently.
Which is baffling to me. Like, I ain't criticizing. It's their money. They can do what they fucking want and stuff. Number one, to get a bunch of very expensive people to come back is going to cost you a few bucks. So getting Joaquin to come back, that's minimum 20 right there. I think I read somewhere Lady Gaga made 12, so that's 32. And Todd Phillips, of course, is going to, this guy who's made Warner Brothers $1 billion, right? Over $1 billion between those Hangover movies and Joker. Joker alone made $1 billion. Yeah. So, he probably got paid well, but not like, like nuts or broke the bank or something like that. But the movie itself, like being 200 million, considering most of it was a courtroom drama, I found like that hit me. Once, the first movie cost what, 50 to 70 or something like that. And then opened to like 96 million and then topped off at over $1 billion. Oof.
There's nothing. Yeah, it's a prison movie and it's a courtroom movie. There are not a ton of special effects. There's a couple of we had to recreate quote unquote Gotham City / New York City in the 70s for a couple of exterior shots. But we buried a lot of people's fees and a lot of people's overhead in this budget because there's no other way that movie costs. Physical production of that movie costs $150 million to make that movie.
Now, it's a gorgeous movie. I can't remember the name of the cinematographer. He shot the first Joker.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I don't care anybody who's reviewing this movie, whether they love it or dislike it. And there seems to be a lot more in the latter. Everyone says that the movie is fucking gorgeous, stunning to look at. In terms of filmmaking, just absolute cinema. Would you agree?
The craft is across the board incredibly strong. Like it's lit well, it's photographed well, the sound is design is great, the score is really strong. Um, Lady Gaga is very good, like completely wasted, but very good. Um, I think there are kind of for me there are two problems with this movie. One of them is Joker One is a film about a guy becoming something, becoming who he thinks he's supposed to be. Shedding the reality of the world and embracing this version of himself that is unbound by social mores and constructs. This movie, Joker 2, is a movie about a guy who already is and who eventually discovers, like, well, maybe I don't have to be that guy. Maybe I'm actually just a regular dude, which is just not as dramatic as a person becoming who they're meant to be. Um, there's a version of this movie that is actually a Harley movie. That is actually a story about Lady Gaga, where the Joker's a secondary character to it, and she's a woman who's inspired by the Joker. She's a woman who, oh,
Dog is giving me shit over here. What? What?
what?
She's like, don't be fucking shitting on the Joker.
I live for this movie.
That first movie's one of my favorites. It's rough.
We
Thank you. Thank you very much.
we live in a society. Um,
That's what she's looking at me like, we live in a society, Dad. Come here. Don't be shy. You can come over. All right, keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, but I mean, like that to me is an interesting version of this movie, which is here's a woman whose life is also kind of meaningless, and in the Joker, she sees a path forward and she models herself after him. She starts breaking bad. She checks herself into prison to meet him. She falls in love with him. He's not the man she thought he was, but she's been transformed by this process anyway. It's also a movie about becoming. She's becoming Harley Quinn. But this isn't that movie. It's neither of those movies, and as a result, it kind of just sits there. Um, and it doesn't operate as a musical in the way a musical traditionally operates, which is the songs exist to say things that the characters can't say. That's the musical form. That is the like I have my I want song, I have my longing song, I have, declaration of intent and wonder song, and all of those are the emotions that they can't put into words in just regular fucking dialogue, so they sing it. The singing of it just kind of smushes away the logic and it just becomes pure emotion.
And normally, and of course, in musicals, like everyone buys into the conceit, but every once in a while, you have a movie that tries to do elements of a musical and make it make sense. This, when I read about the description for this, it reminded me of, was it Lars von Trier's Dancer in the Dark?
Mm-hmm.
York movie where she's on trial for her life, and then periodically in her head she goes into these gigantic musical numbers. So I felt like, oh, that's what we're gonna get from whereas Taxi Driver was his inspiration for Joker, it felt like, oh, maybe that's the inspiration for this, but it sounds like that wasn't necessarily the case.
Yeah, it's nor is it like Pennies from Heaven or Chicago or like Pennies from Heaven, a fucking Martin Scorsese fucking musical. But it doesn't, the songs don't convey emotion really. They don't bring those two characters together. They don't reveal any internal mental state of anybody. It's like we're singing standards from the 50s and 60s and like one or two Sinatra tunes. And so it doesn't give you the fantasy. So the movie kind of just sits there as this odd exercise in legitimizing a thing that didn't need legitimacy.
Everything I've watched and read, people are like, they spend a lot of time talking about the Joker and not the character, but the whole movie that happened before.
Yeah.
A lot of theories out there that like there was one I just saw in chat where somebody was like, hold on. I am number 4 said a very Todd Phillips move to tank it on purpose so the studio would finally leave him alone. I don't imagine that is the case here at all. But I think Todd was just like, look, you want a Joker movie? Because I pretty much said everything I could say in the other one. But if you guys want something, all right, I'll deconstruct it. It
Or
didn't.
then again, like, don't do it. Like, there have been plenty of
That's just tough to say no to all that money, especially when they're like, well, we'll let somebody else do it or something like that. Or the way I read it, I guess Joaquin was the first one to be like, I had a dream, and this is kind of what this movie is based on, that dream. So if you're a leading guy, you're leading man who won an Oscar, with you, comes to you, I bet you it's pretty hard to say no.
I mean, maybe, I guess, but it's also, hey man, just executive produce it and just you still get your money, you still get some taste in this in the limelight. But if you don't have a story to tell, don't tell the story. Um, and I don't quite buy the elaborate barb at Warner Brothers either. Like in the same way that I do buy that when Lana Wachowski came back to do Matrix 4, that movie is very much specifically a like, you wanted a Matrix, here's the anti-Matrix. I didn't want to do this. My sister didn't want to do this. I'm the one who realized that you were going to do it anyway without us. So I stepped ahead and I said, you know what? Here's your Matrix movie. I don't quite believe that that was the case. I don't believe that there was some like incredibly Byzantine plan to like make a shitty movie to tank Warner Brothers. Like that feels like we're justifying a dude who just made a bad movie. Um, in a way that other people who make bad movies, or maybe not even so bad movies, don't get that level of defense from a fandom. There's been a lot online about how Nia DaCosta, who directed the Marvels,
Mm.
was like, raked over the coals when that movie came out. And it's like, A, that movie did better than the Joker 2 did in its opening weekend. And B, is a better movie than the Joker 2 is. Um, but I I've said all I need to say, other than that there is an interesting bit towards the end of it. I'm not going to spoil too much.
Oh,
Uh,
it's been spoiled all over. How about we just say spoilers and talk about.
spoiler.
It's lots of spoilers here. It's this the ending of this movie has been spoiled all over the internet. So it'd be helpful to actually discuss it because it seems to be one of the most riveting aspects of the entire movie.
It,
Not even an aspect of like, that's controversial. Some people love it, some people hate it. It seems like generally everybody didn't seem to like this.
I mean, and it's also a trick that I think, if I remember correctly, they pulled on Gotham, where they introduced a character that everybody thought was the Joker, only to eventually reveal, like, no, this is the person who inspired the character who would eventually become the Joker. And so that's the last scene of this movie, which is Joaquin Phoenix gets walked out by Brendan Gleeson, who plays the chief guard in his particular ward in Arkham. He gets walked out to go talk to his attorney. There's a visitor for you, and he walks him through this abandoned hallway, and then Arthur Fleck gets shivved like a dozen times in the stomach. And as he's laying there dying, in soft focus in the background of that shot, the dude who shivved him like tries on a bunch of laughs and then eventually settles on what he thinks is the Joker's laugh, and then slices his own face, slices the Glasgow smile into his lips to signify that, oh, that's the Joker. That's the guy who was inspired by Arthur Fleck, who eventually would become the version of the Joker that we quote unquote know and love.
Hmm.
Which, okay, I mean, I guess that's cool, but did not need this movie as a run up to that particular scene. The juice is not worth the squeeze.
Yeah, it really felt like they got away with so much in that first movie. And it became like this. At first, everyone was afraid of it, like, oh my God, it's gonna cause riots. And then it was nominated for fucking Academy Awards, man. Like, it is a startling approach to the material, and it worked. Like they stuck the landing on Joker. Um, and by the end of that movie, you felt like, oh, all right, he's on his way to becoming. One day he'll be the clown prince of crime. But this is how it starts. Like really perfect little origin movie. Maybe not the or Joker origin and all Joker origins, but fucking you got to give it up. That movie's fucking very original. And I know a lot of people like original. It's fucking Taxi Driver. Putting a comic book movie through that filter is a cool original idea. inarguably. That Joker movie is very, very watchable. I've only watched it once because it's kind of bleak, but it's very, very watchable. Um, it sounds like here he was just like, I'm gonna make an art film. Like, I mean, look, both movies deal with mental illness. So I don't know how, it's amazing that the first one got to $1 billion considering how bleak it is. But honestly, man, like I remember when they announced this, I think we probably talked about it. If I didn't say it here, I probably said it on Hollywood Babylon. Joker 2 with Lady Gaga playing Harley Quinn. I was like, there's no way this movie doesn't make $2 billion. And there is a way. There's a path to.
We found it.
Yeah, they found that path. That's startling, man. It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. And I bristle a little bit at the idea that people are like, well, you just don't understand it because it's art and they made art and you don't have to understand art. I'm like, yeah, but I have seen giant fucking movies that are also art that understand the mission brief. Like, we're gonna make, like, Alfonso Cuarón has done that for a very long time. It's like, I'm making a giant fucking Harry Potter movie. That's also art. I'm making Children of Men. That's also art. I'm gonna make Gravity. That's also art. But they deliver on what you showed up for. And this is just a movie that refused to deliver what an audience came to it for. And it's mass media. And if you're not operating at that level, then you fail the assignment. And the audience will always be the final word in that. Granted, there are some movies that are forgotten and slept on when they first release and eventually are discovered over time, but I don't know if this is one of those.
As is pointed out in the old chat by David Rose, there's an article today that says this movie needs to make 500 million to break even. I mean, I think technically it was like 460 or something like that. Right now, it doesn't seem to be on track to do that. But I also read another article, I think the Hollywood Reporter, where they're like, nobody's getting fired over this. Like, what would you have done? Like, if I was the head of the studio, if I was, if I think they pitched to Toby Emmerich, but it was oversaw by Mike DeLuca and what was her name, Pam Abdi.
Mm-hmm.
I like, even now, Tuesday, knowing what we know, it's like there's no way anybody would have said no to this. Like, a Joker sequel. First movie made $1 billion. This one's got Lady Gaga in it, and she's Harley Quinn. Let's just start printing money now, kids. Like, you can't fault anybody. Like,
I mean,
maybe you could go like, oh, Todd, does it have to be 200 million? But I mean, like, people are used to paying that much for comic book movies.
I mean, it's one of those things where, like, yeah, nobody will get fired for greenlighting it, but I think somebody will get fired for not reading that script before they then wrote a check.
Well, I don't know if you saw there were some stories about how they throw out the pages and make them up on the day and stuff like that. So I don't know there was ever a script. Plus, he's got Final Cut. So what's the point, right? Like, at the end of the day, just hold on and you got to trust the guy that got you there last time. But again, talk about a filmmaker who has made them. If Joker made $1 billion, those 3 Hangover movies must have made $1 billion together, if not more. So, like, this is a guy who made them lots of money. What were they going to be like? No. Like, and then they trusted him because they saw what had happened last time. So really the only big factor here is, like, it's a movie that cost almost $150 million more than the first one. However, since that movie only cost 50 to 70 and made $1 billion, they're like, oh my God, we could spend this much and still, even if the movie dies, we could still make this much money. But I don't think they were prepared for this level of lack of interaction.
Yeah. No, I mean, and I think
stunning reversal of fortune. When a Kevin Smith movie doesn't do well, that's, fucking par for the course. When a Joker sequel, a sequel to the Joker, like, hits a speed bump like this, I mean, that's why it's so damn noteworthy. It's all over the internet this morning. It's all anyone wants to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, is anybody getting fired? No, because the insulation is such that the blowback will not really singe anybody. Should somebody get fired? Maybe. Because this is a catastrophic Not even that it's a waste of money, because at the end of the day, $150 million, $200 million for that studio is not the end of it. It's not the end all be all. They'll make all of that shit back on another Harry Potter series. It'll be fine. But like, somebody should have had some oversight. And
Well, I read articles about how, this was because of Todd's deal with Warner Brothers and because the Joker did so well and predated, what they're doing, DC Studios or whatever it's called. There's not even a DC logo at the head of the movie, from what I understand. So yeah, that's not part of their
no.
their block. And now it looks like it's up to Superman to save the day for DC movies, right?
Yeah.
That's next for them. That's the next flick is going to be James Gunn's Superman movie.
Yeah, there's nothing else in the can. That's next off the runway.
Honestly, like this is, could you have called this? Never. I never could have called this in a million years. I thought this movie fucking like breezes to 1 billion and then like starts a climb to 2, but probably got there if I had to guess. This is never could have predicted this, man.
I mean, I didn't like the first one nearly as much as it sounds like you did.
I thought it was like fucking like gutsy and like, this is interesting. What a great fucking take. Like, or here's a take that I haven't seen before. And, honestly, when it comes to, and I've said it before, like every time they make Batman more realistic, that I find it harder to connect with a more realistic Batman. I like Tim Burton's Batman. Like I like sci-fi Batman, in terms of like, look at this garish rogues gallery. Not like this is what it would really be like, dude. If there was like a real fucking rogues gallery, this is what Batman would be like for real. So Joker, on the other hand, I felt held up to that kind of scrutiny in terms of like, this is what happened. This is what it would be like in the real world. And I'm like, oh, I can buy this. Like, this is what makes a hell of a lot more sense than the rich kid who dresses up like a bat and beats up people and stuff like that. So yeah, it's not that I was like, oh, I love this movie. Because again, it's a pretty bleak flick, but like I respected the hell out of it, man. I was like, I never thought I'd see a movie like this in my lifetime. A comic book movie treated this fucking seriously and whatnot. But it wasn't like I got to go out and see Folie Deux on day one. So I don't know, but I guess I did like it more than you.
Yeah, which is like, hey, like I'm not here to yuck anybody's yum. Like, love what you love, like what you like. It didn't work for me, and because I'm starting to develop a bit of a reflexive is the wrong word, but a reaction to the insistence on legitimizing pulp by taking away the things that made it pulp. You know what I mean? Like, I saw this movie Rebel Ridge. Did you see Rebel Ridge? It's on the Netflixes, starring Aaron Pierre. It is basically Rambo. It is basically like military, ex-military dude rides his bike into town, gets hassled by the cops. He's a black dude. It's white cops. They take his property, and it's a revenge story. It's like, how can he get what was taken? And then once what was taken sort of spins out into resulting into the death of his cousin, he has every reason to want to kill everybody, but doesn't. Like it gives you justice, but not retribution. And I'm like, this is not why I'm here. I didn't show up to this movie for justice. I didn't show up for this movie for due process. I want to see Rambo decimate a village of fucking morons. That's why I'm here.
You sound like the people that didn't like the vice presidential debate. Like they were too nice to each other.
What is this?
I tuned in to watch these two beat the shit out of each other.
This should be blood sport. Why are we having a conversation about anything? And so, like the desire to legitimize comic book stuff by making it feel real is like that it's not real, and that's okay. Like the sweet spot for those things are the Nolan movies for me, which is like they realize that it's fucking Batman, and like he's gonna do some weird outlandish Batman shit, but it still has a feeling of like, well, we developed this for the military, Mr. Wayne. This used to be for paratroopers or whatever. It's like, okay, this was a tank and a bridging device that nobody wanted to spend money on, so we have it in the basement, as opposed to, I'm Robert Pattinson, and I'm just on a motorcycle, and I'm just wanting to punch crime in the face a lot. Like, yeah,
I remember the back to they weren't back to back, but the two scenes in the Batman where he shows up at the club, knocks on the door, and he's like, "Hey man, let me in." They're like, "Fuck off," and then he comes back later in the movie as Batman, knocks on the door, says the same fucking thing. We're like, "Come on in." I'm like, "How do you fucking not know? Like, how do you not make the? You're the doorman. Your whole job is to do that." Oh,
yeah. And also, why is Batman knocking on doors? Like, hello, be Batman.
that's how it would be in the real world, man.
Would be. So yeah, listen, the Joker is I'm not gonna say this is the last experiment that they do this way, where they try to take a comic book hero or villain or anti-hero or whatever and serious the shit out of it in an attempt to achieve some artistic merit. They'll probably try it again. It is just not my taste. It is just not my taste.
They probably weren't. I doubt we'll see a Joker or anything for a red hot minute.
Yeah.
Penguin seems to be doing quite well, though. Go figure, man. There's a world where the Penguin's soaring high, flightless fowl that he is, waterfowl that he is, and the Joker is not.
Is not indeed.
Yeah, the member of the Rogues Gallery who's doing the best.
He's not laughing his way to the bank.
Oh, there you go. Well done, Mark. There's a right.
Bam.
Oh, it's Bam Bam. Did you see this picture?
I didn't, but you know it would clean up Folie Deux is a Tushy.
Oh,
You're not kidding, man. Thank you, Banff, man. That's producing, kids. You saw it right there. Folie a doo-doo, kids. Has to be cleaned up. And that's what Tushy's for, man. Tushy! Still shredding your butthole with toilet paper that doesn't even get you clean? Come on. Get 2 times cleaner in half the time with a targeted spray of fresh water, man. Say hello to the Tushy bidet and goodbye to endless wiping. If you've got shag carpet between your cheeks, like some of us, toilet paper isn't going to get you clean. Instead of wasting time wiping, wash your ass. It's that simple. Wash your ass with a Tushy bidet. You get 2 times cleaner and half the time from a targeted stream of fresh water that can penetrate the thickest butt hair.
that was an intense introduction to Tushy.
Truly, truly was, man. The Tushy bidet easily attaches to your existing toilet without the need for additional plumbing or electricity. I installed mine. I'm an idiot, so you could do it. Installation is simple. It takes less time than it does for you to take a dump. Well, that's not true. It says just under 10 minutes. I'd take a 2-hour dump because I like to read scripts while I'm in there. Toilet paper only smears your poop around. It just smears the poo-poo around. That's all, kids. But with the Tushy bidet nozzle adjuster, you can get a precise clean every time. Like, they use high-powered jets to cut diamonds. That's what they're going to use to wipe your ass. Each Tushy bidet attachment comes with a nozzle adjuster to find the best angle for the most precise clean of your life. Every Hello Tushy bidet comes with a 30-day hassle-free return and a 12-month warranty. You can try it out, and if you're like, this ain't for me, send it back. They don't care, man, because that's how much they believe in their product. Tushy knows that you're going to love it. You're going to be like, how did I live without this all my life? The French are right. Yeah.
You need a bidet.
You need a bidet, man. It's time to ditch toilet paper and finally feel shower fresh with Hello Tushy, Tushy. For a limited time, our listeners get 10% off their first bidet order when you use the code FATMAN, all one word, FATMAN, at checkout. That's 10% off your first bidet order at hellotushy.com, HELLOTUSHY.com with the promo code FATMAN, all one word. We thank the good folks at Tushy, not just for sponsoring this here podcast, but for wiping my ass. Tushy.
Well done.
Thank you. Well done on fucking JC's behalf, man.
I'm gonna ask you a question.
Yeah.
Have you ever,
Yes.
when you're taking one of them 2-hour shits,
Yeah.
forgotten if you've shit or not?
Yes. Particularly back in the Way Stone days, man.
What I
Yeah,
came here to do or not?
I told that whole story once about like it's ropey. Like I was in the bathroom for like fucking 2 hours, and Jennifer was like, "What happened?" I was like, "I don't know. I just went to the bathroom." She's like, "You were in there 2 hours." I was like, "Was I?" Because I was like super stoned, and it was like it was crazy, man. It was felt like shit would not stop coming out of me. I felt like I was a fountain. And then when I got up and looked, one little rapid pellet. That was
This is worth all my
some
work.
good weed, man. Spent the rest of my life trying to track that down again. All right. Well, it's I saw an article that was just like, it's a shame that Joker didn't do good, but other movies did well this weekend because Joker didn't. I guess there were some other flicks like the Wild Robot, which people very much seem to like, and another one, Beetlejuice, picked up, I guess, a little bit.
I still want to see Megalopolis.
Yeah, hurry,
I just don't dog.
hurry. I mean, look, he's got more staying power in theaters than a fucking Kevin Smith movie. Just think, September, what is the date now? Is October 8th. September 13th was when the 4:30 movie came out on like 200 screens. And here we are, October 8th, and it's already on digital and stuff like that. I don't know that I made a film, but I certainly made a tile that you can find at Apple, at Amazon, YouTube,
World is moving fast.
Google Watch, Voodoo, Fandango, which I guess that used to be Voodoo. What else happened? First off, hey, shout out to all you Floridians kids who are battening down the hatches and facing, what was it, Martin? No.
Milton.
What is it?
Milton.
That's it. My mom is there. She went to my brother's, and they're kind of ride out the storm. They're more inland, so we're hoping that by the time it gets to them, because they're closer to Orlando, that the storm, as it travels inland, loses steam. But right now, they're still predicting like 75 to 150, 15-mile-per-hour winds in that area. So, yeah, stay safe, you Floridians.
Oh yeah, fill up your bathtub, buy some bottled water, sandbags, Jiffy Pop, whatever you need.
All practical advice.
Except for that last one.
I lived through a flood. It sucks. Oh my God, it sucks. I just saw some footage too of like, they just had a fucking hurricane in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this town that like had all their shit from people's houses that got soaked out on the curb. And then they're like, we got to go now. We have to evacuate now. And we're not even done cleaning up from the last hurricane mess.
Yeah, I saw that on the news. They're like, it's what will make this even harder is all of the shit that's already all over the street now flying around the air and floating into other people's houses and stuff.
Oof. Stay safe, Florida, or get out. A lot of people leaving, man. Like I saw the news, like they were in Tampa. I guess the mayor was like, get out or die, or something very grave like that.
Damn.
So be safe, kids. For the rest of us this weekend, man, we're gonna be at Chronicon in Chicago. Me and Mark doing our fucking thing live with Banff Man. Banff Man, pop in here. Tell them about Illinois, where you come from, man. Banff. I said Banff. There he is.
too many buttons. It should be a really nice. It should be like one of the few weeks a year where the weather in Chicago is fantastic. Would be my guess.
And we're gonna be inside for it. Woohoo!
Like the first week in May and like 2 weeks before Halloween, and then otherwise it's terrible. So there you go. Also, I've mentioned on the show before, there's a casino right there. I know the events go into the evening, but I know there's a Rosemont casino that you can hit up. A lot of good
luck be a lady tonight. You can pay for the entire Chronicon, kids, at the one roll of the dice.
We've got plans to record all of the shows and panels and stuff for your fan club.
Are we gonna stream the Fat Man from what night do we do Fat Man?
Fat Man is Sunday morning.
So we can stream it?
So we're gonna stream it right here. It'll be the
Hey.
one piece. If you're like, oh my gosh, I'm hungover from Ming and Brian's karaoke night or whatever the night before, you can watch this from your hotel in Rosemont, Illinois.
Look at that
Or you
shit.
can go down the elevator and watch it live.
I just saw in chat something that fucking thrilled me, kids. It says they did a Jab 02 said they did a joke about Kevin on Late Night with Seth Meyers tonight.
Ooh, the love affair is real.
Fucking love Seth. Did you see my Seth Meyers appearance?
I did. I love
wrote
that Seth Meyers' appearance is you just hijacking a late night talk show.
I love that we've both done Seth Meyers. Banff man, you got to get on Seth Meyers. How come you haven't been on Seth Meyers yet, Banff man?
I need Mark to start a campaign for me.
I've squeezed as much goodwill as I can out of the internet.
Honestly, man, like the range of guests they have on that show, like it would not be far fetched to be like, he runs the Scum and Villainy Cantina in Hollywood and Hollywood Boulevard.
I walk out and they're just like, so, how are you not sued?
Yeah, exactly. That would be an interesting interview right there.
I think that's one of the reasons why when I was thinking about trying to get on some talk show, I was like, I think Seth is the way to go because he has lots of authors on. He has the occasional comic book dude. He seems like the kind of person who's a little bit more open to gambling with guests as opposed to like Colbert or Kimmel or definitely not the Tonight Show. Wouldn't even try there. I was like, but I think Seth is the way to go, and it fucking worked.
Apparently, the joke is getting fact checked by Laura Ingraham is like getting fashion advice from Kevin Smith. Kevin, you know I love you, but you look like an 8-year-old with a court date. Fuck you, Seth. I look good on the show. Hey, man, touching back on Joker real quick.
Yes, sir.
Did you get the impression that the prison, the shower scene moved into Trigger Warning Kids essay territory? I've seen people who said that he was Ard, and then there are people like, no, they just beat the shit out of him.
I just got the beat the shit out of him vibe. You know, unlike say Shawshank, which I think does get you into SA territory.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that this was part of that story they wanted to tell. Even though I can't be sure what story they did want to tell.
Yeah, lots of folks in chat feel it was the implication, if you will.
Right. I mean, it's like that is how art works, where it's a subjective, you know, what you think you saw. We don't know what the intention was, but if people saw that in there, then it is for them to wrestle with. I didn't see it in there. Doesn't mean that I'm right. Doesn't mean that you're wrong.
All right.
Yeah. Should we do some news?
Yeah, we should. I mean, it's like I encourage anyone who's interested in this sort of shit, and if you're watching the show, you probably are. Go read the Hollywood Reporter piece about how, like, there is no fallout, no one will get fired. It just
McClintock, I think, wrote that.
Is what it is. Yeah. Then there's also a Variety piece that just came out a few hours ago that talks about some of the, I guess, behind the scenes issues, if there were issues or whatnot. Kabuki Kid said, sorry about that one, Kev. I'm a writer on Seth's show. I pitched the joke. Kidding. I was like, if you're a writer on Seth's show, what are you doing in fucking this chat room? I see you all the time, Kabuki Kid. If you're a writer on Seth Meyers' show, I'm going to call him and be like, you got to stop paying Kabuki Kid because I don't think he's ever writing for you. I see him in chat every time we do the show.
Is that you, Scollins? Are you just in chat with us?
Also, if you are a writer on Seth Meyers' show and you want a guest who knows a thing or two about running a small business themed restaurant.
Yeah. You've pitched to your boss, man. We got to get Banff Man on there. Me John 101 says, so is 4:30 a good movie? I don't know. I like it. It's very sweet. It doesn't reinvent the form. It's not nearly as controversial or as groundbreaking as Folie, Deux, but it's a sweet little movie. And sometimes it's all you want to make. Just a sweet little movie. But it's available right now on a bunch of different formats. There's Banff, man.
I'll say I've worked with you since Red State, and it's probably my favorite. It's probably the one I identify with the most. And I don't know, a month ago or whatever, you said it's not second screen enough about some show you pitched.
Right.
And I don't mean to say like the first time you watch 4:30 movie, you'll watch it. It's quick.
Right.
You'll be like, oh, I feel good. But that I feel like that's a movie that if it's on Netflix or whatever, and you're writing emails or you're doing whatever, that 4:30 movies like one of those movies you'll just have on in the background that like you'll look up and be like, 24 Karat Case of Love, and then like go down and be like, oh, this is where he punches his friend in the face, and then go back. Like it's
right.
infinite. It's like the best second screen movie I've seen in a long time, where you're just like, I'll watch this 7 times just because it's feel good while I'm doing other stuff. And it's not like Game of Thrones where you're like, oh, put the subtitles on. If I missed what I'm saying, season 8's not going to make any sense.
I want that on our poster. It's not like it's Game of Thrones. JC Riefenberg.
You know.
No, 100%. I agree, though. I think it is a lovely movie to like play in the background stuff. I've found myself, since the movie came out and since I started reading nice things about it, in the morning, I would get up and be like, oh, fucking put it on. And it's so sweet. And it is like a warm blanket of a movie. And if you've ever loved movies, if you've ever been one of those people, it's like, oh my God, fucking movies, man, that's my bag. And you've spent time in a multiplex, like you'll find something in this movie. But Jesus, if you're our age, like me and Mark, fuck. Like a lot of people our age is just like, bro, I feel like you were there, like with me in my life. Somebody gave me a really nice compliment. They're like, how the fuck did you remember what life was like back then? Because this is accurate. And I don't know, some shit you just don't forget, right? That's what I was going for with this movie. It was more of a feeling, a vibe, more so than anything else. Anyway, enough about 4:30 movie. Let's do some fucking news, shall we? It's new. It's got an S on it. Fucking news. Since we've been gone, though, did we ever talk about you hitting your goal?
We haven't yet. No.
Take the fucking floor, for God's sakes.
We did the thing. It was not nearly as effortless as the Splinter Kickstarter campaign was, but we fucking got there. We got there. It was a siege more than an overwhelming, quick, swift victory, but we got there, and we are now in like deep prep to hopefully be shooting before Thanksgiving. Our cast is set. We just scouted some stages yesterday, where we'll end up shooting 6 of the 8 chapters of the film. Yeah, man, it's all fucking happening. It's all happening on top of a dozen other things that are happening, including Chronicon. So I will be taking some Zooms with like cinematographers while in my hotel room in Rosemont, Illinois.
How scared were you on the like last day?
It wasn't the last day. It was like the second week when like it had just plateaued and wasn't moving at all for like 4 or 5 days. And we're like, guys, are we even almost going to make this? Like, who's got a 401k they're willing to empty out? Who's got, who wants to invent a couple of personalities that can drop some money in for us? Who knows a good millionaire who's bad with money? But eventually it did, like, thankfully, towards the end of it, there was some real momentum, a real drive towards it, which we were told happens in Kickstarter. Like, there's a big push up front. The middle gets real depressing and demoralizing, and then there's a surge towards the end. And so the surge towards the end got us there. We got over the 250 we were looking for with 2 days to go.
So, many thanks to everyone in this here audience who supported Mark on his quest, man. This is no fucking chaotic quest. This man's making a goddamn movie.
We're doing the thing, man.
How many directors you gonna have?
Including me, 7
7 directors.
for 8 chapters.
Fucking A.
Fucking Ernie Hudson and Rosario Dawson and Raul Coley and Phil Lamar. And Phil Lamar is, I mean, listen, I love all those people, but Phil Lamar, um, he's going to be doing things in this short that I've never seen him do before. And it has me so fucking excited because I don't think Phil Lamar gets the shine that he should get given his permanence in pop culture.
Oh man, I shot Marvin.
Shot Marvin in the face.
I Phil just I texted with Phil just today because he was like, "Were you really at LA Comic Con and are you going to New York Comic Con?" I said I was in LA Comic Con for like a minute yesterday. I did a panel with the kids who are putting together the Chronic Blunt Punch video game, which is coming out in November. So I went there to do a panel and I said, but I'll be in New York as well. And he's, I'll see you there. He's such a lovely dude, man. He's funny as fuck in Logic's movie.
He's
really. He comes at the UPS guy. It comes in and like has a fantastic fucking scene. So how many roles is he playing in your thing? Just one. Just one.
But I mean, I remember watching. I did a rewatch with my son of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Whatever the fuck it is. Why I'm getting stuck in my head over Fresh Prince of Beverly Hills? No, it's Bel-Air. I'm like, he's in that fucking show, like once or twice as just like another classmate of fucking Will's. And it's like, this dude's been in the world since like the late 80s. Early, I think he's in the Cosby Show. I think he was just one of those dudes who just did the fucking rounds and then gets Pulp Fiction and then becomes an animation standby. Then it's Mad TV. And then it's like every decade he's had a thing that has kept him vital in the conversation.
Green Lantern.
Green fucking Lantern for a long time. Samurai Jack for a long time.
Yeah, that's right. Samurai Jack.
You know,
Clerks cartoon.
Oh yeah.
He's the one he talks about. He has a few roles because when you get somebody to do a voice in a cartoon, they always do more than one voice. But he's the one that talks about Jay and Silent Bob in the Bad News Bears episode. And it makes me laugh every time. One guy talking about how like we're still in 5th grade or something. And he's like, how? And he's like, he got left back a lot. Phil does a convincing voice of a kid.
Yeah. I mean, it's another, I remember talking about it. He's like, yeah, oh shit, you've got a good voice. You could probably do animation. But the fucking discipline of it is being able to do the voices routinely and steadily and ongoing. So like, if you got to be down here, you're gonna have to be down here for a month. Like the Mark Hamill Joker voice. It's like, you just got to be able to do that over and over and over again and repeat it and hit it every time. It's like, that's the fucking discipline. And most people don't have it.
Look at that, man. Mark's gonna make his movie with a bunch of movie stars. Well done. Well done. Well done, Mark. Well done, everybody.
Well done, everybody.
All right, we got news beyond that, like news that don't involve us.
We got some news that don't involve us.
Like that matters, but I guess we'll cover it.
I know. And thankfully, this week, we do have to do an obit. It was almost like we got out scot-free without having to do an obit. We have to do an obit.
Somebody died.
Yeah, the great John Amos. But we'll
God, James Sr. That's right. All right, we got a few minutes before we get there.
Damn.
It's America's dad right there, man. I can make the argument.
It's a strong one. Apparently, DC Studios and Warner Brothers are going to make a Bane and Deathstroke movie. I didn't see this coming. But yeah, apparently the who was in Bane, who was in, fucking Tom Hardy. I'll give you permission to die.
It's not going to be him.
Not going to be him.
And it's not going to be Joe Manganiello playing Deathstroke.
Or Manu Bennett, who played Deathstroke.
Oh, that's right. He played in the TV show.
Arrow. So yeah, there's no director on it. It's DC Studios is developing a script from Matthew Orton, who is one of the writers of the upcoming Captain America Brave New World film. I mean, listen, if Sony and Marvel can keep making movies spinning off Spider-Man villains without Spider-Man anywhere near them, sure, you could do a Bane fucking Deathstroke movie.
Yeah, but I think every Bane should be take a moment and probably be like, perhaps we shouldn't be thinking so fast about making a movie with two Batman villains when one of them just died at the box office. Do you think that will slow it down? Do you think what happened to Joker is going to affect a Bane and Deathstroke movie? I know they're two completely different studios. One is with DC Studios with James and Peter Safran, or is that his name? But I it could be that maybe, I mean, look, Batgirl and Coyote versus Acme went away. Two movies, one of them tested through the roof, apparently. But both of them, kind of went by the wayside. Could be that, word comes down from above. Hey, let's slow this down.
I mean, I think that there's a world in which if it connects to Batman World's Finest, if all of these DC Studios movies under the Gunn Safran era are intertwined, if they're telling one giant story that knits together, then, and if you can make this movie for $50 million and not $200 million, then it's like, all right, yeah, we can roll those dice.
Yeah, totally. Keep it cheap. That's simple. There it is. We can make any of them fucking villain movies. $50 million, man. That should be the ceiling.
I mean, we've said it here.
And for the sequel, 200 million.
Just fucking shoot the moon. But yeah, we've talked about it before. If you can make a John Wick movie for $40 million, which is what the first one cost, there's no reason any of these movies should be $200 million. They just shouldn't be. What is John Wick if not Batman without a cape and a mask? But who really likes his gun?
You just described Reacher as well.
Indeed. So what does he do? He just punches crime in the face, or sometimes in the back of the head.
Mary Growlow in chat said the last Arrowverse show, Superman and Lois, had their final season premiere. So the final season of the final Arrowverse show, the last remaining remnant of a time when the CW heroes ruled the network airwaves, man, pulling in a solid $4 to $4.5 million per episode every weekday night. It felt like they eventually got up to like 5 nights of DC superhero programming. This is it. This is the end of an era right here, man. Never mind Taylor Swift. This is eras right here. You're seeing the end of it and shit.
The last Arrowverse / Berlantiverse episode of the last show.
It's crazy, dude. I couldn't have predicted this either. If somebody was just like, will Berlanti ever be done with those superheroes? I'm like, no way. Oh my God. And yet, here we are.
Here we are.
What else we got?
Staying in the Bat universe, DC Studios and Warner Brothers Pictures Animation has a new film called Dynamic Duo in the works about Jason Todd and Dick Grayson. The thing that's interesting about this is that it's animated, kinda. It's this technology called Swaybox, I think. And no, I'm sorry. The technology is Momo animation, which is a cross between CGI animation, practical elements of stop motion, and live action real-time puppetry. And they wrap all of this shit together. And like I saw a test reel of it as part of a commercial that these guys shot, as well as some behind the scenes stuff where they tried to do Hogarth Hughes from Iron Giant in this like weird puppeteering thing. And it looks kind of great. It looks kind of dope.
It does.
It does. And I wouldn't have pegged it as a thing one could do, but when you look at it, it's kind of phenomenal. And so I'm curious about it. I don't know anything more beyond that they're trying this new tech. Let me see. There was a writer that they had attached, Matthew Aldrich. This is also produced by Matt Reeves, even though it is not going to be part of the Batman universe.
I was gonna say they don't have a fucking Dick Grayson or a Jason Todd yet.
Yeah. So it's not going to be like part of the Pattinson version of it, but I think just Matt Reeves has kind of set up shop underneath Safran and Gunn as like, I want to make bat shit. Like, okay, I guess you're the guy who makes bat shit.
Our good friend Josh Mundhall in chat says, Mark, in all caps, the franchise. on HBO. Tell me you watched the first episode drop. So good, he said. I didn't know that happened already. I'm gonna go watch it after this.
Yeah, I got it. I got it on the TiVo.
That's what's his name? The dude who did Armando, right? The guy who did Veep.
Yeah.
Armando Iannucci.
Mm-hmm. About the shooting of a giant superhero movie, and I think all the things that goes wrong, but also funny.
And Atomica asks, Kevin, are you seeing the Fur Babies movie Justin Long is doing? I think he did it for VHS. It's a segment for the latest VHS. And the words I've seen about it online, people are like, this is it, like it's very Tusky and fitting because Justin, of course, was in Tusk. Justin and I've been texting.
Have you now?
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Oh yes.
Uh-oh. What does this mean?
See, I gotta be careful. I get yelled at all the time. I get yelled at, but Jordan told me, like, you gotta stop fucking opening your mouth. You're saying shit you shouldn't say yet. And I tell her, it's like, it's because people stick a microphone in my face. And like I have a hard time lying and shit like that. So I can't say too much, but the discussions I've been having with Justin Long are very exciting, kids. And they do center around an old walrus friend of ours.
Is it Walrus Folie Deux?
Yes. Oh my God. We're doing a musical, man. Wait till you see Justin in costume doing a tap dance. He's on trial for all the shit that happened in Tusk. Yes, Bam Man. How are you?
Tusk 2 opened at $37 million, though. I bet there's like a week-long party.
Oh, you better believe shit. That's because then when that happens, that's when they give us $200 million for the sequel.
For Moose Jaws happening soon with $200 million budget.
Oh, it's gonna be insane, kids. But yes, more when I can tell you. But that's down the road in the future. But the future, don't live there. Not a healthy place to be, but good to look to it and know that one day you're going to get there. You better prepare yourself something to do when you arrive. You know what I'm saying? So I'm preparing something that for when I arrive eventually one day, I can make the most madcap fucking movie ever made.
Outstanding. I expect there to be a Putting on the Ritz musical number in here.
I'm not that fucking good. I just read a story about how Gene Wilder and Mel Brooks fought over that, over Putting on the Ritz, putting it into Young Frankenstein. Mel Brooks didn't want to include it because he wanted to keep it very, a true homage to the Universal Monsters movies. And they got in a heated exchange, and apparently Mel Brooks walked out. And I guess as the story goes, as told by Gene Wilder, like he called Gene Wilder 10 minutes later and was like, God, I heard some maniac yelling in your room. What was that all about? You can't let people like that into your room, Gene. Rather sweet.
No.
Okay.
All right. We're sticking in DC for a little bit longer. Kyle Chandler, he of the great Friday Night Lights, has been cast as Hal Jordan.
Yeah. I'll buy that. I'll totally watch that, man. As the guy who caught Leonardo DiCaprio, right? In fucking Wolf of Wall Street.
Yes. I was like, that's Tom Hanks. Oh no, that's Catch Me If You Can. Like, how many guys are chasing
somebody's always catching Leo, bro. Yeah, I think he's a good choice. I could see him as the weathered version of Hal Jordan, like, because that's what this is, right? It's him and a young
Jon Stewart
team up,
right? So yeah, he seems to have been cast. Lanterns is the name of the show, which is coming from Chris Mundy, who is the showrunner of Ozark, and Damon Lindelof, we know that guy, and Eisner Award-winning comics writer Tom King. So yeah, it's all happening, and now they are casting for Jon Stewart. Right now, the front runner seemed to be Aaron Pierre, who we talked about before as part of Rebel Ridge. And Stephen James from Barry Jenkins, if Beale Street Could Talk, seem to be the front runners to play Jon Stewart.
Have they, other than Ryan Reynolds, is this the first lantern treatment? I'm sorry, kids. Why do they keep doing a show?
I'm here. Yeah, I don't think there's been. Well, no, because Fillion is playing. Is he playing Kyle?
What
Uh, in Superman? I think Fillion is playing a lantern in Superman.
Jordan just sent a message. Shut the fuck up. No, she just sent a message saying LAX has valet service, valet parking at LAX. That's exciting news for those of us who travel outside of Los Angeles quite a bit.
For those of us who would like to just drive up to the fucking terminal and get out of their car and go.
100%. I know everyone's like, why does that matter to the Fat Man Beyond audience? Could come in handy one day, kids.
Never can tell.
When you're racing to catch a flight and shit, and you're like, oh my God, if only I could just leave it at the curb. Well, now you can.
You can just toss the keys to somebody who will then park your car for you.
I did that once. I parked in a parking garage, and I called when I landed, I called the rental place to be like, I can tell you exactly where the car is, but I could not get back to you and make my flight. I think they charged me a little bit more, but they weren't shitty about it at all.
It's like, it is technically your car. You should want it back.
Yeah.
Go get it.
I was like, if you want, I could just light it on fire. And they're like, we'll come for
it. Okay, our last story is did you also forget that they were making a Voltron movie? Because I totally did.
I did until Ralph talked about it the other night on Hollywood Babylon Saturday night. I was like, oh, there's a Voltron movie coming. Live action. You see giant fucking robots. And I guess that's not shocking because what was the not Pacific Heights. What was the movie called?
Pacific Rim.
Pacific Rim. In one of them Pacific Rims. I've had that before. Ooh,
I guess Michael Keaton in a fucking kaiju trying to kill no one.
Yeah. He's like, you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
Rock'em sock'em slasher.
The juice is loose.
Ross and Marshall Thurber.
People are like, now do a line from Clean and Sober.
I'm clean.
Do a line from Jack Frost. I'm your dad, and I'm a fucking snowman.
Mr. Mom. 220, 221, whatever it takes.
I could do lines of Mr. Mom. I fucking love that movie. That's John Hughes' script right there.
Is it now?
Young John Hughes wrote Mr. Mom. Full of fucking cliches and stereotypes of the day, but funny movie. You fed a baby chili? What are you, crazy? All right, what else we got?
Yes, so they're making a Voltron movie. They've cast a person who's playing the male lead, who I've never heard of before. Daniel Quinn Toy is the guy's name, or Toye. And it's being directed by Ross and Marshall Thurber, who I think did Rampage and is making the new Red Notice movie that's out this Christmas with The Rock and Chris Evans.
This is a little late, but John Elrod II in chat said Tushy can help with your Pacific Rim.
Ooh,
come on, that's some good copy right there.
That's a good callback. I appreciate that. So yes, there's a Voltron movie, you guys, and they're apparently going to make it, which is a thing I never thought that we'd say, but then again,
Banff.
Hey, Banff man's.
Did either of you watch the Voltron reboot on Netflix or reimagining? It's fantastic. It's that and Justice League are the two best cartoons I think I've ever seen. Voltron's probably better. It was so good.
Masters of the Universe.
That was very good too. Voltron was eight seasons, 8 half seasons. And it was just
that's what happens when you're an incredibly successful show. You get to go a lot.
But yeah, it was so good.
Leaf Erickson 123 in chat says a kid from Emerson is directing Voltron. I heard. Wow. Look at that. Emerson's a school in Massachusetts, like Boston, right? Like a radio broadcasting school.
Mm-hmm.
I spoke there years years ago. Why is Kevin so jittery? Asks Undead Caesar.
My
Pound,
blood is made of nitrous.
yeah, pounding those. I'm like, hey man, look at a fat man beyond him, Kevin Smith.
Yes, and finally, the great John Amos has passed away.
I loved and still continue to love John Amos. As a youngster growing up in Highlands, New Jersey, one of my favorite shows that I saw in real time when it was on network, and then when they put it into syndication on the daily, was Good Times. And James Evans Sr., America's dad, man, just the epitome of a 70s father.
Mm-hmm.
No, all heart, but no heart whatsoever.
He would beat the shit out of his kids.
He would threaten every one of them. But like loved his family, worked hard and shit. But like, I'm not one of those fucking middle-aged white men that's like, oh, I was better back in the day. But he was a man. You know what I'm saying? Like a man dad. Something I have never been in my entire. I've always been a boy dad. Like when I fucking had my kid, I was still fucking my own development was arrested because I'm in the fucking entertainment business and shit. So, and my father was very much like a James Senior, man. Just like, fucking worked hard. You had to be quiet, fucking, and he had a hair trigger like James Senior. Like I watched that show for years and I was never once like, he ought to calm down. I was always like, no, I'm with him. He works hard. These kids, they give him a hard time. Thank God for Florida. And then, of course, one of the most famous John Amos moments in Good Times doesn't even involve John Amos. It just involves the absence of James Sr. The aforementioned damn.
Florida is unwilling to acknowledge that she's in deep grief until she's alone in the kitchen trying to do dishes, trying to put away a casserole, and she drops the fucking dish and just damn.
It's powerful. And then her kids come out of the bedroom and they all hug her. She was like keeping it together the whole time. Like, she's doing the wake and the repast at their apartment and shit. She's strong for everybody. And then when she's cleaning up after everybody's gone, the kids try to help her. And they're like, she's like, I've got it. You guys, you go rest or go to your rooms or whatever. And they keep trying to help her. And she's like, I said, I have it. Like she starts losing it and shit. And then she's putting the shit away and it's just quiet and calm. And then she comes down to that glass bowl and she just fucking throws it on the ground and does the damn. One of the most emotional moments in fucking television history, man.
That is not a meme that you can put on a fucking tweet.
Yeah.
It's just
I saw a bunch of those on Twitter of damn. For in honor of John Amos. Of course, I go right to Good Times because that's how I spent the most time with him. But Mr. McDowell, for heaven's sakes, and Coming to America. Die Hard 2.
Dos, Old Kunta Kinte in
Roots. Yes, that's probably around the same time as Roots, right? They were probably shooting.
Roots was like 76, I think, and so I think it's kind of overlapped. He's in
Good Times. Do you know the origin of Good Times?
No. Was it a
so the actor who played Lionel on the Jeffersons, if I remember this correctly, his name was Evans.
Right. And he co-created it, right?
That's his story with Norman Lear or whoever the other guy, the Norman Lear adjunct producer was or co-creator. I can't remember if it's Norman Lear himself, but it came from his life. So like you can imagine they were sitting around set one day and he was just telling stories and somebody was like, that'd be a good show.
And back when Norman Lear had like the network in his pocket, they're like, if you want to do a show, Norman, do a show.
Yeah.
Whatever you want.
They pointed out in chat we lost Chris Christopherson, Whistler from Blade, of course, amongst many things. Chris Christopherson, absolute legend, but for this audience here, of course, very specifically, he was Whistler. And there's been talk about Wesley Snipes coming back for an all Blade movie. Have you seen that, or is that just wishful thinking on the internet?
I think it was a little bit of like after Deadpool Wolverine, they were like, Blade needs his own Logan. He needs his own like Blade's last ride. Um, and so like I don't know if there's any steam behind that. I'm not sure if that's just Ryan trying to conjure something into thin air, out of thin air into reality. But I would not look askance at Wesley Snipes one last time getting to play Blade.
Crazy Vix at night said, "Good Times was set in New York City or Chicago? Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
where we're headed this weekend. Me and Marc Bernardin and Banff Man going to be doing Fat Man Beyond at Chronicon, the first annual ever Chronicon. Started in Jay and Silent Bob reboot as a joke. Now it's in real life. I turn all my jokes into real life, kids. And now we're living in a joke.
You're like Willy Wonka, man.
If you want to view paradise, if you want to view a pair of dice, simply go down to Vegas. That 90s show got canceled, Lee B Films pointed out. It did, sadly. Me and Jay joined it last season 2, or they don't call them seasons. They say part 2 and part 3. But yeah, apparently they're not going forward.
That's too bad. You guys look like we're having fun.
Yeah, it was a good time, man. Fuck, it was close. It was like 8 minutes from here, man. Crazy close. But yeah, we had a good time. Muse loved it. Muse was like, why aren't we doing fucking TV shows our whole lives? I was like, oh, what, movies now not good enough for you and shit? You grew up on them.
I like the steady paycheck business.
Yeah, I mean, don't we all? Fuck.
Mm-hmm.
I had an adventure in
Uh-oh. Are you don't do it. Jordan's gonna text you again.
I know I can't say it, but
Like, I can't.
something happened last 2 weeks ago. Something very good, which hopefully I'll be able to talk about soon. I hope, fingers crossed. But it's interesting. It's been brewing for like a year and stuff. There's always stuff kind of slow simmering stews and spinning plates over here, kids. And one of those plates like wound up someplace really cool. So I can't wait to tell you about it. But
That's not the business. The business is just tending tiny fires. And like, is this one? Is this one? Well, what about that one? Ooh, all right.
You know what I'm saying? But it was cool. It was very cool. I can't wait to share with you what it is. Somebody else pointed out in chat that we lost the voice of Oogie Boogie.
Oh yeah.
Somebody in chat say his name. Say his name. His name was Robert Paulson. He was the guy who performed, the Sandy Claus. Ooh, I'm really scared. The Oogie Boogie Man. Ken Page. Thank you, BP in chat. Ken Page, the late great Ken Page. What a fucking killer characterization, man. Like that will live forever. Who don't know the Oogie Boogie Man, for heaven's sakes? Who don't know the Nightmare Before Christmas?
Maggie Smith passed away as well.
That's right. We lost Dame Maggie Smith, man. Like who I first knew from, I think, California Suite. And of course, most people know her nowadays from Downton Abbey and from the Harry Potter flicks. But she's a big part of our childhood. A lot of 70s and 80s movies.
Yeah.
Miss Jean Brody right there. She won an Academy Award, for heaven's sakes.
Wasn't she in like Death on the Nile or Murder on the Orient Express? I think she
definitely
did.
Some Agatha Christie's. And of course, she was Peter, don't you remember who you are? She was Wendy in Hook.
Yes. And she was the mother of
all dragons, the mother of dragons. Oh, I loved her on Game of Thrones.
No, what the
Dame Maggie Smith as the mother of dragons. Khaleesi herself.
She was in Clash of the Titans.
Oh, yeah, that's right. She played Hera.
No, Thetis, I think.
Athena. Is that, are they the same people? No.
I don't know. Not sure. But she was the mother of the Ducalibus.
That's right. Yes, you're right. Good point. That was her son, Calibus. Wow. There she is, man. There it is.
I went from like, we have no obits to here's 9 fucking obits.
Yeah, a lot of folks left us, for heaven's sakes. Pete Rose died. I am number 4 pointed out.
Evil.
They immediately announced him for the Hall of Fame. Is that right? So the moment he died, they were like, he's in the Hall of Fame.
Finally.
Brittany Nicole said it was Thetis that she played.
That was a statue.
Ward Graham said she did adult films too, I think. I don't think she did. I think, was she in Caligula? No, that was Helen Mirren.
Yes. Helen
turned out to be an adult film, but they didn't all sign up to make one.
Unless he means like just like films for grown-ups and not like.
Then she was in a lot of adult films. If it's criteria. Hey kids, don't forget Chronicons this weekend. Yes, but what about next weekend? What happens in the aftermath of Chronicon? Well, if you're back east, there's the New York Comic-Con. That's right. New York Comic-Con is happening not this weekend, but next weekend in New York City. I'll be there Thursday the 17th and Friday the 18th. Me, Jason Mewes, Jason Lee, taking pictures, signing stuff, saying things. Good times, kids. So if you can't catch us in Chicago, roll on up to New York and say hi to me and the other mall rats.
Should we do some A's and Q's?
I guess, man. Is that all we covered everything? Anyone in chat think we missed anything? They're good for that kind of stuff. I would have forgot about Oogie Boogie, and I remembered that. I read it a few days ago. I was like, oh, we got to talk about that. Oh, you know what? Let me send you. Did I send this to you, JC? The link in let me see.
Yep,
yes.
Here it is.
Yeah, can you put that up there? So Athena Finger, the granddaughter of Bill Finger, is trying to get her grandfather a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Batman himself just received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame last week. So Bill Finger, legendary co-creator of so much of the Batman universe, who is now credited in the opening of the Batman movies, like Bob Kane, she's hoping to get him to a star. So she got a GoFundMe up there. If you've ever loved the world of Batman and you want to give back, well, heaven's sakes, there are worse ways to do it.
Indeed. And you know, in case our friends in chat on the internet don't know this, it is almost entirely a financial proposition to get a star on the Walk of Fame.
Yeah, it costs money, right? That's what it is.
Money. Like there is a vetting board that like you just can't show up with like 10 grand. It's I want a fucking star. Like you have to have done a thing, but for the most part, the barometer for like can you get a star or not is are you noteworthy and can you pay us money? And which is why most of the time you see people having stars on the Walk of Fame is because there was a movie that they're in coming out, and then the studio will pay because it's a very nice little press release thing. And like, hey, here's your thing. Hey, we're all here taking pictures with you because your movie's out and the studio paid the 10 grand or whatever it is.
I think it's more than that. I think it's like close to 20.
Yeah, could be, but it is just money. And so if you've ever wanted to walk past the stars on the Walk of Fame and see Bill Finger's name there, hit up that GoFundMe.
Sister Act, Maggie Smith was in as well.
Oh, that's right.
As Tom Jr. Jackson points out, he goes, I just read Barry Sonnenfeld's new book, and there's a hilarious story of how some movie producer had a meltdown saying if they couldn't get Maggie Smith for Sister Act, then it wouldn't happen.
She's the linchpin.
She was beloved. All right, JC. John Ashton from Beverly Hills Cop, another person that passed away. And from Midnight Run. And Gone Baby Gone, I think he was in as well. Another person we lost.
Mm-hmm.
Our childhood is slipping away from us, Mark.
It is indeed. Too fast.
All right there, Banff man. Let's have some questions.
All right.
Donald Funk says, did we mention James Earl Jones? We talked about him on the previous show, no?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We covered his death.
Before we get into the QAs, Carl sent you $15 in a super chat and said, hey, Kev, I might have snuck into a showing of the 4:30 movie. As an apology, here's my $15. Flick was fantastic.
Look at that. $15, little man. Put that shit in my hand or in my super chat. Many thanks.
Which also...
And kids, I own Smog Castle Cinemas with some friends of mine in Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey. If you go there, pay to see a movie, feel free to sneak the fuck around all day long. all day long. Just make sure he's buy some popcorn and shit. That's where we make our money.
All right. Let's see. First one, T.R. Morris. Besides Stan and Jack, what are other Marvel creators you would want to develop a biopic of?
I mean, Jack Kirby, of course. You know, like right there, shoulder to shoulder with Stan. If you're going to tell a Stan story, you got to tell the Jack story. Jack Kirby gave us some of the most dynamic graphic art ever been produced by human hands, changed the game, for heaven's sakes, invented a medium almost single-handedly. So interesting guy and very talented. And, you know, you can easily get a movie out of him. Ditko as well. Steve Ditko, you know, co-creator of Spider-Man, The Question, Doctor Strange, was an Ayn Randian. You know, big fan of Ayn Rand, believed in those books in a big bad way. The Question originally was an Ayn Randian type character. Yeah, those two guys easily, man. But later on, you know, you can do stuff like the Simonsons, Walt Louise Simonson, a romance about fucking comic book people that fall in love and fucking work in the same field and work together. Did I understand that question correctly?
I think so. My vote would be Grant Morrison. I think you could do like the wildest Grant Morrison biopic, even just taking the stories he's told on this show, and dramatizing them, like climbing the temple in India and monkeys throwing shit at it. Like, it's so wild. Even just the stories.
Attaining enlightenment. Like, he climbed to the top of the temple and it was like, we didn't get enlightened. Then he went home, and then the aliens came out of his light, and they were like, we want to show you everything. You know, excellent point. Grant Morrison would be a hell of a fucking flick.
I think Jim Shooter would be interesting. I think the dude who inherits the Marvel sort of comic book universe on its kind of wane and comes up with a masterstroke of, I'm just going to cross all of them over. We're going to do a Secret Wars, and it's a fucking Hail Mary, and can we save this company? And that's kind of fascinating to me. Dwayne McDuffie is fascinating to me. I mean, Alan Moore is just sitting there as like the grand wizard of fucking comics. Would be super. I mean, and Frank Miller, the sort of Frank Miller, you know, fucking, you know, weird urban kid who single-handedly reinvents some of the ways that comic books can work, and then his kind of later in life battles with substances and his own talent and every publisher in the business. Like, I think there's some real juice there.
Marcos 43 in chat suggests Kevin Eastman, which by association brings in Peter Laird. Eastman and Laird would be a cool little movie about fucking two dudes who like just made a fucking joke of Daredevil, you know, and created the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as kind of an homage, kind of offshoot of, and then it turned into a multi-billion-dollar industry that still exists today. Like, I think that's a movie that could easily be gripping.
Their episode of Toys That Made Us was really good too.
Right? Like, just fantastic.
I think there's like a Social Network style movie with McFarlane and all those kids, and starting Image and all of that. I think there's like a really fun like kids taking over movie there.
100%.
Don't say.
And then the epilogue at the end of the movie is like Rob Liefeld just swimming in a Scrooge McDuck money pit after Deadpool 2 or Deadpool 3.
Yeah, I guess Rob would be a pretty big figure in that, wouldn't he? All right, what else we got?
Endelia's Music. What terrible sequel would you like to remake or make better? Like something that had a great first movie, second movie not so much.
I mean, this is going to be a reach, but like fucking the drop from Howling to Howling 2 was vast.
Did not see that coming.
All right. You couldn't imagine I was going to pull that one, could you? Still bugs me to this day. I'm like, Howling is a brilliant film. What the hell happened? Howling 2, Sturbo werewolf bitch. Like, come on. I would like if somebody was like, we got a bunch of money. We want you to go do the correct Howling 2. Like, how when they made that Halloween movie, they're like, all the other ones didn't happen, man. This is a sequel to the first one. That's what this would be.
I similarly, it's not the Howling to Howling 2, it's Highlander to Highlander 2.
Same, son. Same in terms of drop in quality, in terms of like, this movie's amazing. They're doing another. I can't wait. And then you sit down and you're like, how the fuck did you do this?
Like you every turn you could have made was the wrong turn. Like
didn't like Sean Connery come back?
He did. Hey, here's money. And like it's like we're on the planet Zeist now. They're aliens. What are we doing? Why are we doing this? It is, yeah. And also the Pitch Black movies, each one of them got like more ridiculous than the last. It's like, what are we, guys? This was a super perfect lean thriller in space. And now the Chronicles of Riddick and Necromongers and like, what are we? No, stop it. But Highlander is the one that pisses me off the most.
Michael Morales in chat says American Werewolf in Paris. Excellent poll.
Mm-hmm.
I remember like, oh my God, they're sequelizing it. Oh my God, it's in Paris. That makes sense. Oh my God.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
But I'm sure somebody felt that way about Clerks 2 and Clerks 3. So Jaws 3.
Mm-hmm.
I won't touch Jaws 2. I love that movie as a kid. And Jaws bites a power cable. Jaws eats a helicopter. So I'm okay with that movie. But Jaws 3 probably could. Well, Jaws 4. Actually, I'm all right with Jaws 3. I just wish it wasn't 3D. Cool concept. Jaws at SeaWorld, that works. But Jaws the Revenge, if somebody was like, you want to take a run at that? I'd be like, I would love to. This time it's called Moosh Jaws. No, I would try to do a true Jaws sequel. And some of the elements of like the Revenge worked for me, in as much as like it's the Brodies and like, maybe not. I didn't go for the whole this time it's personal, but I like that it was still tracking that family and what, not the shark, but just the story of Jaws itself, the Jaws mythology.
But the caveat,
I'd like to take one. I'd like to take a run at the Jaws, man.
But the caveat is you have to put Michael Caine in it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I can make that work. He lived. Hoagie.
Mm-hmm.
He also had a plane, not a helicopter, seaplane. I think the shark ate a seaplane, right?
Yes. And I think that's the movie he was making where he couldn't be there to accept his Oscar for like Hannah and her sisters or whatever it was.
Because he was making Jaws the Revenge.
He was paying for my house.
And he's like, oh, I'll pick up the next one. All right. So far. What about you, Banff man?
I mean, I was gonna get myself in trouble and say Last Jedi, but I saw somebody put Wonder Woman 2 in chat. And I think Wonder Woman was, I still tear up watching the first 2/3 of Wonder Woman several times.
That No Man's Land sequence is beautiful.
And Wonder Woman 2, or Indiana Jones 4, I think would be the one.
Yeah, boy, it's crazy. An Indiana Jones movie came out not too long ago and nobody talks about it anymore.
No.
Joker 2 movie just came out yesterday or 2 days ago, and well, people are talking about it.
They are indeed. Don't want to remake it though.
I enjoyed her fighting Cheetah in Wonder Woman.
I have almost no memory of that movie.
At the end, if Kristen Wiig turns and goes full Cheetah and they have a fight, it's very CG heavy, but I remember like at one point she says to her, she's like, Barbara, like you need help. Reminded me of like, remember in Batman Forever when Val Kilmer was like, you need help, Harvey. Which was like fucking, I remember when I saw that, as much as like people gave that movie shit, it was like, he fucking called Harvey. Like Two-Face, he called him Harvey, just like in the comics. It took so little back then, dude. So little. Remember in Batman Forever when they were like, the circus must be halfway to Metropolis by now, and you're like, oh,
That's why Superman works alone. Look,
Well, that. But yes, moments like that. And now you got movies where fucking like they're making a Voltron live action movie, for heaven's sake. Can give you everything you want sooner or later. All right, third question.
For Mean Dave, if you could take any comic character and give it the Todd Phillips art house Joker treatment, what would it be?
Charlie Brown. Charlie Brown, who's been put upon his entire fucking life, traumatized, absolute victim.
bitch.
He's not gonna go crazy though. Like that's what everyone's like, oh, he's gonna get his revenge. No, he's gonna find healing. He's gonna be whole for the first time in his fucking life. And guess what happens when he gets whole? That zigzag on his shirt becomes a straight fucking line.
He like walks
Wait,
past
there's Charlie
Lucy's booth and he goes to like a real therapist. He's like, this is what I needed the whole time.
Why have I been paying someone a nickel? The same person who pulls the football out from under me, I'm getting real healing over here. They've got me doing EMDR. This is amazing. Fucking over everything, man. You know what? Comes up to Lucy, gives her a big hug. He's like, I'm so sorry. Something clearly is happening in your world, but I forgive you. Gives up the dog. Because they have a toxic relationship. I don't give a shit. I'm a big Snoopy fan, but he treats Charlie Brown poorly. So in my movie, Charlie Brown would be like, it'd be a tough scene, but he'd be like, we're done. I gotta quit you. We can't like this anymore.
Back to the pound.
He's like, remember? No, he ain't gonna take him back to the Daisy Hill Puppy Farm. Snoopy, a grown ass dog. Don't be serious, Mark. Don't fucking ruin this. No, he fucking goes to live with his brother Spike out in the desert, Needles, California. Remember? So we get like a little odd couple action going, man.
That doesn't seem like the serious version of this.
Oh, that's as serious as it gets, Mark.
Snoopy does peyote and has a vision quest and comes back and rejoins Charlie Brown at the end apologetically.
And that's called Snoopy Come Home 2025. And people are like, oh, it's a fucking dark reimagining of a classic.
It's just called Coming Home. And like John Voight is the voice of Snoopy.
John Voight is Charles Brown in Peanuts, Coming Home.
Did Snoopy go to war? Yeah, World War I was shit. Man,
Snoopy was like one of them bomb sniffing dogs and shit.
Sup with Camel was just a real.
Yes. Snoopy's in a bar. He's like, I've seen some shit.
Have you ever licked the balls of a camel? I did.
All
right.
I kind of want to watch that.
I'm torn between like Hagar the Horrible and Andy Capp. I feel like Andy Capp is just fucking like
Deep.
sexual abuse.
Deep cuts, dude. Deep fucking cuts. Hagar the Horrible. Holy shit. Oh, somewhere old Dick Brown is like, they remember.
What's that?
I made them laugh as babies and now they remember me. You know what, man? That's true. It's like you think about it. Every storyteller, and mostly particularly like if you work in the field of trying to make people laugh or something like that, or comics, you probably fucked with Hagar the Horrible when you were a kid. It wasn't your favorite comic strip, but it was part of the comics. Just like, you know, fucking maybe, you know, fucking My Three Sons wasn't your favorite TV show, but it was on TV, so you fucking watched it and shit. Yeah. What was my
Hagar? Like
Hagar might have informed our sense of it. Did invariably, it has to have informed our sense of humor, even on a small level. And granted, you and I historically don't do a lot of Viking jokes, but if we did, we'd have nothing but Hagar to thank.
Like Eric the Red and Hagar the Horrible.
That's right. Hagar, motherfucking High and Lois.
Oh, geez. Family Circus.
Family Circus.
Marmaduke.
All the Garfield. All these things helped us tell stories later on. Got to give credits too. Hagar is like, it's nice to be remembered, man. Hagar's singing Pixar right now. He's like, remember me. Mark brought me back.
The fucking guitar. Remember me.
Meanwhile, BC is in the waiting wings going, somebody say BC.
Come on. Come on, I'm right here.
Remember we drove around on the wheels? Come on, man.
Doonesbury is right there. Brenda Starr, reporter.
Brenda Starr.
Who dat Disney says Beetle Belly, but Full Metal Jacket style.
This is my rifle. This is my gun.
Watch for her in charge.
Yeah, the fucking comic strip universe is deep. And I haven't fucking even thought about that shit in like 20 years.
And it's part of us. You know what I'm saying? Like as much as like Mad Magazine or comics, it all adds up. Because you tell me you didn't read the fucking comics every Sunday.
Oh, hell yeah.
Of course. That was like our news sheet, for heaven's sake. So
only part of the paper I cared about.
That was our version of SNL back in the day when we were kids, right? Because that's something that traveled the whole world. Everybody could read that comic on a Sunday morning, fucking talk about it if they wanted to. Monday when they went to school. Like, oh my God, did you see that Kathy this weekend? It was amazing.
Am I right?
She loves ack. Oh, she loves cupcakes. The way that fucking Garfield loves lasagna, Kathy loves a cupcake.
The Universal Orlando has a small little part of their theme park that's dedicated to all those.
Islands of Adventure. I remember when they opened it and I was like, this feels a little late. It's like comic strip land.
Yeah.
So like they even had like, I believe the Cats and Jammer Kids are represented there.
Is it because of Universal?
I don't even know if that's an American cartoon. I think that comes out of Germany or something like that.
Is it because the Universal Comic Syndicate or Strip Syndicate or whatever it is?
100%. You tracked it down. You know exactly what we're talking about.
Nice.
They're giving up their Marvel Islands of Adventure pretty soon, if they haven't already, right? Sooner or later, I think their license went away once Disney bought.
Oh,
right.
All the Marvel stuff, but Universal don't give a shit because they're about to open a fucking massive new theme park with like, what is it? It's fucking Nintendo World, fucking
Mario Land,
fucking
like Dark Land or whatever. They've got like a Lord like
Minions,
Minions
Land. Yeah, that's the Disney killer, man. That park. That's why Disney a couple weeks ago was like, "Oh, we're doing Villains Land." Like they just started announcing shit. The Universal's like, "We're about to take all your money."
We got all that Harry Potter shit. We got all this Super Mario shit. Just you watch.
Who dat Disney on fire? He said, "Wizard of Id, Lord of the Rings version." Wizard of Id. Oh, you know what, man? Kudos. I haven't thought about the Wizard of Id in a long fucking time, but that was a big part of my Sunday morning. All of them. I read them all. Some of them I didn't like, but I even read shit like fucking Mary Worth and whatnot. I mean, they were comics.
I always liked Andy Capp, and I don't even know why, because it was just like a dude who hated his wife who went to the bar and got drunk, and that's every fucking Andy Capp strip. And I'm like,
Then she'd hit him with a rolling pin and shit.
Yeah, it was just all about like the most awful people who hated each other, who find solace in alcohol.
That comic strip taught us how to be married adults.
Yeah.
That's how we learned. Not from our parents, from Andy Capp and his wife.
Yeah, how to beat your spouse in 3 panels or less.
With a fucking rolling pin. Oh, it's taking a rolling pin. And I don't know if you've ever felt a rolling pin, Mark, but they're fucking heavy.
I mean, it's like a baseball bat, but it's tinier.
Truly. But it rolls off you. Is that all the stuff we have to talk about?
That's it.
All the keys we have to add?
That's it. We've done it all.
2.5 hours short of our record, but
fair enough. They can't all be 4.5 hours. Kids, you have a good time? For heaven's sakes, man. We covered all the culture that pops. Did you hit like before you head out of here? Let's see who's hanging out. We got 1,500 people in there, man, and 34 likes. Come on, kids. Smash that like button, as the kids say. Subscribe, ring the bell, whatever the fuck. We're on our way to 2 million. What are we at? 1 million subscribers.
600,000.
Yeah, we're almost at 600. We're almost at 552,000 subscribers, kids. Smash that like and subscribe button for heaven's sake.
Coming in for the big
He told
one.
me last time, he's like, it won't update until the show's over. Like it can't update in real time or something like that. So I guess we'll see afterwards. But I'm telling you, if there ain't a bunch of likes, then I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Then Chronicon will just be sitting there being like, go on your phone, hit the like button on all the videos.
This is gonna be me at Chronicon. Oh, you want me to entertain you? Well, how about a like? Smash the like button. Kids, what a good time we had this evening. Hey, Brian Plato. Brian Plato is Who Dat Disney. You had some fucking funny shit tonight, my friend. Kids, don't forget, me and Mark will be in Chicago this weekend, along with many others, including Banff Man, doing Fat Man Beyond Live. We're going to stream it right here on Sunday. If you can't be there, you'll be able to watch it along with everybody else Sunday morning. I don't know if we've ever done a Sunday morning show before.
I don't believe we have. We gotta wake up early and eat our fucking vitamins.
I might perform a mass Sunday, man. Got to give them a service, right?
I mean, in an hour.
I can whip some fucking Lord's words at him. I remember a few.
Deuteronomy.
Yeah, there it is, kids. Take that with you. Deuteronomy in your souls. Speaking of Deuteronomy, we thank our sponsor, Tushy. Gets the Deuteronomy off of me.
Indeed. And the Mando.
And the good folks at Mando. Mando. I just leave this on my desk because it smells like dudes taking a shower. Is that hot or what?
Smells like dudes taking a shower.
Mando. It smells like Porky's.
My favorite high school movie memory.
Oh my Lord, kids. Come on out and join us at Chronicon. Tickets at csmod.com. Come on out and join me at the New York Comic Con next week. Tickets at csmod.com. Utah, Denver, Portland, Oregon, Phoenix, Arizona. I'm coming to do shows inside of you. Go to csmod.com for tickets. Winnipeg, I'll be there in November. And then when are we going to do a fucking live show out here in Los Angeles? I'm tired of being in this little box on the internet. Let me out. Ah! It's like fucking Superman. Ah!
You're on the Phantom Zone. You say the word, man. I'm not going nowhere.
Let's aim for like first week in November, shall we? JC, Banff Man, is there anything?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, that's like election day. Should we just do an election day show?
Oh my god.
Yeah, right. But you know what? A lot of people want a distraction.
Yeah, come hang out with us on a Tuesday night at the bar. Go vote.
And we won't even look at results. It's not like we'll update you in real time. We'll just talk about geek shit.
We're just going to edge the election.
That's right. Kids love that these days. That's a thing. They like the edging, I've read. So we're going to edge, kids. Edge. There it is, my friends. There it is. Many thanks for hanging out with us, man. Did you enjoy the show? Well, if you did, it's that guy's his fault. Blame Marc Bernardin, goddammit. Hey, somebody asked to chat in a question in chat, which is from Michael Morales. He says, in the 4:30 movie, was Brian's last name David, or was that his middle name? Excellent question. I've been waiting for somebody to ask that question for a long time. The character's name, Brian David, came from my own childhood, as I've said during the press tour for the movie many times. If you've heard it, I apologize. If you haven't, here's new information. My parents were going to name me Brian David when I was born, right up until the moment I came out the chute. And apparently there was another Brian David who was born the same day, and he was also in the nursery. My mom got weirded out. She was like, oh my God, they're going to mix him up. We have to change his name. And so my name became Kevin Patrick instead of Brian David. So technically, Brian David was my first and middle last name. I borrowed it for the character, the main character of the 4:30 movie, because the 4:30 movie is a little like, what if my life had gone this way, sort of thing. So I used Brian David as the alt version of me, as that's who I was meant to be originally. But I was never quite sure myself if the family's last name is David or if his middle name is David. I'll have to rewatch the movie with an ear toward one or the other. But to be honest with you, as the writer, I just always assumed it was his first and last name. But we never really do give them the family a last name, so it could actually be David. Thing is, he calls Melody Barnegat the whole movie, her full name and stuff. And then when they hang out together, they call each other by their full names. If David is indeed Brian David's last name and not his middle name. So geeky, and I love it. Thank you. I've been waiting for somebody to ask me that question. Every day for a week, we would try to feel the motion, feel the wind rush down the hill. That came to mind because the teacher in that song has a song from a chorus line, and it's the song that goes, I'm feeling nothing. Did you ever hear that song? It's really good. It's about like a person in acting class, and everybody's like, the teacher is like doing sense memory shit. And he's just like, okay, you're on a sled and it's snowing outside, go. And the singer talks about how everybody was like, I feel the snow, I feel the air, I feel the cold. And then the teacher says, what about you, Morales? That's the acting student's name. And Morales says, and I said, nothing, I'm feeling nothing. And he said, nothing could get a girl transferred. They all felt something, but I felt nothing except the feeling that this bullshit was absurd. In any event, when I saw Morales, that's where my head went.
The only song I remember from a chorus line is the one that begins with tits and ass.
Tits and ass, orchestra and balcony. What they want is what you see.
Yeah, because I was like 9 when it was on HBO as a kid. And I was like, oh, I like these 2 words. What's the rest of this about? And it was
you heard those words and you got erect. You didn't even know why.
It's like, I don't know, but I feel a calling.
A calling in my pants. A chorus line is dancing in my pants. One singular sensation deep inside my underpants. There it is, kids. Now, if we start delving into fucking show tunes, you know the show is over. You know what happens when you put show tunes in something? Everyone gets mad and says, this ain't Joker. So bring you out of here before that happens to us. Many thanks for hanging out, my friends. Regardless of your opinions you've heard here or read in chat and whatnot, make sure you go see the Joker for yourself, or at least watch it when it comes home and stuff like that. Don't take anyone's word for it. Take your own word for it. I'm going to watch it for sure. Probably when it comes home, which sounds like it's going to happen a lot sooner rather than
when it comes to TBS, I'll watch it.
Like the new classics.
Yeah. Watch it for free on a Saturday afternoon, interrupted by commercials.
Best way to watch some things. Oh my God, you just described a happy childhood. And then I remember in those days being like, man, why do there have to be so many commercials?
There's no part of me that won't encounter a movie that I already own on DVD or Blu-ray, and I will watch it interrupted by commercials because it was like found treasure. Like,
that's how you know a movie is really good, man. If you're like willing to sit through commercials for it and you've seen it a bunch of times and you also own it on another format where you could watch it commercial free, but you're still willing.
Yeah, ooh, Hunt for Red October. Let's see where we are.
Excellent pull. Excellent pull. I saw the other day, the actor from The Hunt for Red October. He was also in Lovecraft Country.
Oh, Sam Neill.
Who?
Sam Neill.
Not Sam Neill.
Lovecraft. Sorry. I'm thinking of the
He's the one who played Jonesy in
Gray Brower. No. Fuck. Courtney B. Vance.
Courtney B. Vance. Andre Brower is the Mist, right?
Yeah.
Courtney B. Vance. And he was coming in to do an interview after I was doing an interview. And so, you know, somebody was like, hey, have you ever met? I said, oh my God, no, I'm such a huge fan and whatnot. He was very nice. But then I was about to leave, but before I left, he was getting ready to do his interview. I had to run in real quick and be like, I just got to tell you, man, like still in my house, we do the line, they call it Crazy Ivan. I was like, you took crazy and turned it into like almost a 3-syllable word, Crazy Ivan.
Paganini was a composer. Pavarotti.
Yes. Paganini. All right, kids. Fucking, did you like tonight? Good. Come back for more when we do it, man.
Live on Sunday morning.
What is it?
Live on Sunday morning.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. You'll be able to watch this shit live on Sunday morning while we're all at Chronicon. We'll give you a peek of what Chronicon looks like on Sunday morning. Let's all join on Sunday morning, shall we? News is bound to happen before then. Perhaps I'll see Joker Folie before then.
Maybe on the plane.
Whoa. Whoa.
It took a week to make it to the friendly skies.
I mean, I don't even know if the 4:30 movie is going to make it on a plane, but good point. Kids, many thanks for hanging out. Don't forget 4:30 movie now on home video. You can watch it digitally right this second. As soon as this show's done, go get it, please. And we'll see you on Sunday at Chronicon, kids. If you want to get tickets to csmod.com. Come 1 day, come 2 days, come all 3 days. Come all over my face, neck, and chest. Anything for you, all for you, Damien.
All for you.
All for you, Damien. That's your Fat Man Beyond for this week, kids. I'm Kevin Smith.
I am Marc Bernardin.
Tune in next time. Same fat time. Same fat channels. Modcast.com or
YouTube.com/Kevin Smith.
We'll see you at Chronicon. Jeff's kiss. Mwah. This is the cat. Greetings, everybody, and welcome to the AKA Ask Kev Anything. Every saga has a 10-year anniversary, ladies and gentlemen, and this is what happens when Jay and Silent Bob get old. I'm Kevin Smith. Cheers, if you